Indeed. Oh, look at
Well,
that
thank you very
interlacing.
much. Appreciate your being here.
So full disclosure, I actually saw part of this already. I saw the first 15 minutes or so. I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked by how low energy he was. Like, incredibly good news for the campaign. It is really, really, really bad. Okay, so in the lead up to this, Donald Trump was facing criticism because he's been hiding out at Mar-a-Lago for a while Walz and Kamala Harris are aggressively campaigning. Donald Trump has just been chilling at his resort, and he's been facing criticism for it. In my opinion, this is because he feels dejected at the popularity of Walz and Harris. He feels dejected at the fact that for like 2 weeks now, he's been a pussy and he's been running away from Kamala Harris for the debate. If you'll recall, he dropped out of the September, what was it, 10th original debate time, and was saying he would only debate Kamala Harris on Fox, but apparently he's walked that back now. He's been like waffling on it, and he's been making Truth Social posts about how he misses Joe Biden, and he's been fantasizing about Joe Biden showing up at the DNC and saying like, "Take me back, Donald." Really, 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 really weird stuff. Remember, there was an attempted assassination against him 2 weeks ago, and no one cares. That's not true. I'm still mad at Jack Black. There were consequences to that. He dropped out of the 14th. He agreed to a new one on the 10th. I think the 10th was the original date with ABC, right? Yeah, that was the original date, I'm pretty sure. So they're both ABC. Okay, yeah, but he was like backing out of the ABC debate for a while. Basically, the summary of it is he's been really dejected and pathetic for a while now. Then he called a snap press conference over here at Mar-a-Lago, and here he is. He showed up. No explanation for what it was going to be. And now we start.
Just a statement before I talk about debates. I think that our country is right now in the most dangerous position it's ever been in from an economic standpoint, from a safety standpoint. Both gangs on the street and, frankly, gangs outside of our country in the form of other countries that are, frankly, very powerful. They're very powerful countries, and we don't know what we're doing. We have leadership that has no clue how to handle them or how to handle any other situation. We have a lot of bad things coming up. You could end up in a depression of the 1929 variety, which would be a devastating thing. Took many years, took decades to recover from it. And we're very close to that, and we're very close to a world war. In my opinion, we're very close to a world war. We have people that don't know how to handle it. They're not respected. All over the world, they're laughed at. And we can't have that. Most dangerous period of time I've ever seen for our country. With that being said, we have somebody that hasn't received one vote for president, and she's running, and that's fine with me. But we were given Joe Biden, and now we're given somebody else. And I think, frankly, I'd rather be running against the somebody else. But that was their choice. They decided to do that because Kamala's record is horrible. She's a radical left person at a level that nobody's seen. She picked a radical left
somebody that I used to know.
Man that is, he's got things done that he has positions that are just not, it's not even possible to believe that.
Okay, right off the bat, energy is crazy weak, right? Keep in mind, this is a press conference he called. This isn't like a rally. This isn't a White House press correspondent. He called this. I think either he called this in a panic because he wanted to get people off his back on the debate thing, or somebody on his campaign team was like, dude, you have to make a statement. You have to get out there and do something publicly. You're getting like trashed right now. You know, think of how things are going for him. He was walking into a basically guaranteed victory this November. After trashing Biden in the debate, they were running victory laps. And then over the course of less than a month, not even to speak of the assassination attempt, he chooses somebody who's turned out to be a liability for a VP pick, and the left has assembled not just a different team, but a much better team against him. The polls are trending in favor of Kamala Harris. We're getting more and more polling data out of swing states that are leaning towards her, or at least pushing towards her more and more than they did with Biden every day. He floundered on the debate time that made him look weak publicly. Like, it's not good.
They exist. He's going for things that nobody's ever even heard of. heavy into the transgender world, heavy into lots of different worlds having to do with safety. He doesn't want to have borders. He doesn't want to have walls. He doesn't want to have any form of safety for our country. He doesn't mind people coming in from prisons, and neither does she, I guess, because she's not, she couldn't care less. She's the border czar. By the way, she was the border czar.
See how he keeps forgetting who he's running against, by the way?
100%. And all of a sudden, for the last few weeks, she's not the border czar anymore, like nobody ever said it. And I just hope that the media becomes more diligent, more honest, frankly, because if they're not going to be honest, it's going to be much tougher to bring our country back. We have a very, very sick country right now. You saw the other day with the stock market crashing. That was just the beginning. That was just the beginning. It's going to get worse.
Guys, nothing made me more smug than after I argue with chat for 30 minutes about how the stock market is literally meaningless vibes, and all of the post-hoc justifications people make to why things go up or down could be summarized by, well, people think it's bad, so it went down, and people think it's good, so it went up. And then the day after the giant historic stock market crash, Nvidia went right back up. Because it's just like, well, who fucking cares, man? The economy, it's not real. It's all vibes-based.
It's going to get a lot worse, in my opinion. And fortunately, we've had some very good polls over the last
where's the hand movement?
Fairly short period of time. Rasmussen came out today. We're substantially leading, and others came out today that we're leading, and in some cases substantially. I guess MSNBC came out, or CNBC came out also with a poll that was, has us leading. And leading fairly big in swing states. In some polls, I'm leading very big in swing states because they want safety. People want safety. They want security. They want respect all around the world for our country. They don't want this horrible
it's
culture
pretty bad,
that
right?
is developing. A culture of no common sense. It's really a culture of no common sense, and it's not what anyone wants. We want to have a safe country. We want to have a strong military. We want low interest rates, and we want to be able to have the American dream. We want to be able to have our youth be able to buy homes, housing, get good jobs. And we're really just at the opposite right now. It's so sad to see. But as a border czar, she's been the worst border czar in history.
By the way, just a little fun bit, but I literally just opened 538, and the most recent poll is a favorability rating for Tim Walz. Favorability up 11, 41 to 30. That's crazy, man. If you compare that to Kamala Harris's favorability as the person who was on the VP on the ticket like a month ago, holy shit. Honestly shocked it's that low. Well, a lot of people don't know who he is. 30% say they don't know. So
world history, I think the number is 20 million, but whether it's 15 or 20, it's numbers that nobody's ever heard before. 20 million people came over the border in the last during the Biden-Harris administration. 20 million people.
The rise of a new era in the betting markets. The dark blue line is Biden crashing right here, and the light blue line, the Kamala momentum, which has now surpassed Donald Trump. As of August 7th, Harris is up ahead of Donald Trump in the betting average. Imagine betting on Kamala a year ago. Our plans are measured in centuries. Guy who puts down $5 in Kamala Harris in 2023 and walks away from this looking like one of the early investors in Bitcoin. Man's walking around Main Street with a top hat and a frock coat, a big cane.
And it could be very much higher than that. Nobody really knows what the number is. Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. And the gotaways, they call them the gotaways. The gotaways are at numbers. Somebody was quizzing me on it the other day. No, I don't think so, sir. I don't think so. They have no idea what those numbers are, but they're much higher than you would think. Just like,
yeah, I'm sorry. Last time I'll interrupt. Just it's crazy now that I'm scrolling through it. Looking at the recent general election polls in early August or earlier this month, YouGov ActiVote, we have Harris +1 and +2, but even better over here, this batch that came out on August 7th. From RMG and Ipsos, we have Harris +5 in this Ipsos, +2 here. I'm guessing this one includes RFK Jr. Yep, Kennedy. There we go. With Kennedy here, Harris pulling ahead by 5 points. Even without Kennedy as the spoiler, we have Harris ahead. And then likewise here with Kennedy, 2%, and then them dead even without Kennedy. Just insane compared to where we were a month ago.
Far more people were killed in the Ukraine-Russia war than you ever report. just like
That's
the
true.
October 7th would have never happened. Russia would have never.
They would have gone
hit
from October
Ukraine
6th to
had
October 8th.
the election result been called differently. It was a very bad call, but Russia would not have attacked Ukraine. October 7th in Israel would have never happened. You wouldn't have inflation. A lot of great things would have happened, but now you have millions and millions of dead people, and you have people dying financially because they can't buy bacon, they can't buy food, they can't buy groceries, they can't do anything.
Explaining to an American what inflation is. Okay, well, we can't afford bacon.
And they're living horribly in our country right now. With all of that being said, I think it's very important to have debates, and we've agreed with Fox on a date of September 4th. We've agreed with NBC, fairly full agreement, subject to them, on September 10th. And we've agreed
NBC
with
and
ABC
IBC.
on September 25th.
Okay, ABC's the 25th.
So we have those
NBC,
three
okay.
dates, and those networks, they're very anxiously awaiting that date and those dates. So we have September 4th, September 10th, and September 25th. We have spoken to the heads of the...
Oh, he's wrong. ABC is the 10th, NBC is the 20th. Okay, gotcha. He got them mixed up. That's great. Thank you, Trump.
network, and it's all been confirmed, other than some fairly minor details. Audience.
He sounds so weak.
Some location, which city would we put it into, but all things that will be settled very easily, I think it'll be very easy. The other side has to agree to the terms. They may or may not agree. I don't know if they're going to agree. She hasn't done an interview. She can't do an interview. She's barely competent, and she can't do an interview. But I look forward to the debates because I think we have to set the record straight. Why is it that millions of people were allowed to come into our country from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions, insane asylums, even insane asylums? It's a mental institution on steroids. That's what it is. When you see the people that are coming into...
You ever seen Batman? They have him, they call him Arkham Asylum. They have him all over Mexico. I still fully subscribe to the belief that he's only started going on about insane asylums because he misunderstood what it means for a person to seek asylum. He thinks that they mean they want to go to American insane asylums or something. I don't know. Like, I still believe that. I have not been provided a better explanation.
These are institutions that are being emptied out, not in South America, all over the world, including South America, all over the world. Prisons are being emptied out into our country because we have a president that's the worst president in the history of our country.
It's crazy that he said that they're emptying out prisons into our country. About El Salvador, where Bukele has, I don't know, arrested 1% of the population of the entire country. Like, you're talking about the largest increase in prison population in the entire world overnight, basically. And to that country, Trump is like, yeah, they're emptying their prisons to send them to us. Incredible.
A vice president who is the least admired, least respected, and the worst vice president in the history of our country, the most unpopular vice president. And because of political reasons or because of being politically correct, even though she never received a vote. Don't forget, she was the first one defeated, as I remember it, because I watched it very closely, but she was the first one. She never made it to Iowa, the first state. She never made it to Iowa. She was the first one that was defeated. She was the nastiest to him. She was nasty with the calling him a racist and the school bus and all of the different things.
Calling him racist and a school bus? Yeah. He's talking about that clip of her going, the wheels of the bus go round and round. Ah, ha, 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 ha. That one.
She was very nasty to Biden. And shockingly, he appointed her, asked her to serve as vice president. Well, I don't know if he's happy about that decision right now.
He's talking about Biden's views on busing. How do you know? How do you know what's going on in his head? I choose to believe he's remembering that clip.
The presidency was taken away from Joe Biden. And I'm no Biden fan, but I'll tell you what, from a constitutional standpoint, from any standpoint you look at, they took the presidency away. And people were saying he lost after the debate. He couldn't win. Well, I don't know that that's true necessarily.
Any Old Man Yowie enjoyers? Anyone play Disco Elysium? Do we have any Harry Dubois and Kim Kitsuragi? Enjoy. I mean, yeah, like this is we're laying it on pretty heavy here, okay? Where am I? YouTube.com or archive of our own.com, you know? It's crazy.
Necessarily, but whether he could win or he couldn't win, he had the right to run. And they took it away. They said they're going to use the 25th Amendment. They're going to hit you hard. Either we can do it the nice way. I know exactly, because I know a lot of people on the other side, believe it or not. And they said, we'll do it the nice way or we'll do it the hard way. And he said...
That's middle-aged Yowie, not old man Yowie. Yeah, but the term old man Yowie is used exclusively by 19-year-old transbians. So to them, Harry and Kim would be old because they're in their 40s. It's kind of like a relative, yeah.
All right. So that, I mean, they've really taken, what they've done is pretty incredible. And now I'm running against somebody else, and we're leading. We're leading. So I'm not complaining. I'm saying it's for a country with a constitution that we cherish. We
literally just take a moment, whatever the fuck else you're doing in your house right now, shut up and take a moment to listen to this.
What they've done is pretty incredible. And now I'm running against somebody else, and we're leading. We're leading. So I'm not complaining. I'm saying it's for a country with a constitution that we cherish. We cherish this constitution. To have done it this way is pretty severe, pretty horrible.
He sounds awful. He sounds like he's like melting. This is insane. I've never heard him talk like this. I've heard him talk in a bunch of different ways. I've never heard him sound this defeated. The energy is completely gone. He doesn't even seem tired. He seems defeated, completely deflated. Just I'm not complaining. It's crazy. He's like the Joker. Without Joe Biden, there's no punchline.
Would have thought they would have gone out to a vote. They would have had a primary system. They would have done something, but to just take it away from him like he was a child. And he's a very angry man right now, I can tell you that. He's not happy with Obama, and he's not happy with Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy. She is crazy, too. She's not happy with any of the people that told him that you've got to leave. He's very unhappy, very angry, and I think he also blames her. He's trying to put up a good face, but it's a very bad thing in terms of a country when you do that. I'm not a fan of his, as you probably have noticed. And he had a rough debate, but that doesn't mean that you just take it away like that. Or you go out to a vote, you do something. He had 14 million votes. She had no votes. She got no votes. And I think she's crashing. I think when people find out, and I think people are starting to find out what a bad job she did, what a bad job she did on the border. She's trying to say she had nothing to do with the border. She had everything. She was appointed to head the border. And then they said borders are, oh, she loved that name. She loved that name. But she never went there. She went to a location once along the border, but that was a location that you would love to go and have dinner with your husband or whoever. That was a location that was not part of the problem. That was not really going to the border. So essentially, she never went to the border. And if you listen to Tom Homan, if you listen to the great border people, Brandon Judd from the Border Patrol, if you listen to Paul, I mean, so many different people. I speak to them all the time. And I did when I was president. We had the best border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. Millions of people coming in, and our country cannot sustain it. Our country is going down.
Notice how he had absolutely no energy, and that was basically incoherent rambling until he caught back on to one of the talking points with the border, and then there's the mild elation of him once again being able to go into like autopilot on that talking point.
Because of this, because of incompetent people. So I just look forward to these debates. I think it's very important that we have them. I hope she agrees to them September 4th, September 10th, September 25th. And I think they'll be very revealing. I think they'll be very revealing. Do you have
the only one Kamala's agreed to, I'm pretty sure, is September 10th.
Questions, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't allow me to cut off the end here.
September 10th, September 25th. And I think they'll be very revealing. I think they'll be very revealing. Do you have any questions, please?
And he's like, all right, I'm done. Anyone got any questions? Oh. Also, they don't give mics. They don't have mics keyed up to the journalists asking questions. So you just get to see him staring like a dumb fish trying to hear them. because they don't have any mics, so he's trying to hear him with his own old man ears. I'm guessing he probably doesn't have that good of hearing. I mean, he doesn't have any ear implants, probably out of pride. He's like 80.
I haven't recalibrated strategy at all. It's the same policies: open borders, weak on crime. I think she's worse than Biden, because he got forced into the position. She was there long before. She destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California as the AG. But as the DA, she destroyed San Francisco. A friend of mine, Bob Tisch, all know the Tisch family. He was in many cities with companies. He said the greatest city in the country is San Francisco. That was about 20 years ago. And he passed away a while ago, and he would be looking down and said, what happened? He thought it was the best city in the country. He had divisions there, lows. And he would be looking down in horror now when he sees she destroyed no cash bail, weak on crime. She's terrible. And yet they weaponized the system against me. They have me. I got so many lawyers. Now they want to delay cases. I won the big case in Florida. I won the big case. Nobody.
No, well, wait, no. You didn't win the big case. The judge dismissed it on unconstitutional grounds based on the recent Supreme Court ruling. It's still up for. Didn't they recently resume the Supreme Court approved the resuming of the not the documents case, the hush money case, right? They're appealing. Didn't that go through? The immunity decision had been due September 6th, but Trump's lawyers asked Judge Juan R. Merchan last week to rule first in a renewed bid to get the judge to step aside from the case. Oh, right. They want him to recuse himself. It's a whole thing.
Nobody even wrote about it. The big case, the judge was a brilliant judge, and all they do is they play the ref with the judges. But this judge was a fair but brilliant judge. And as you probably heard, the big documents case, I won it. Now, Biden lost it because he didn't have presidential immunity. He didn't have the Presidential Records Act. He lost it. But the special, I call it prosecutor, special counsel, special prosecutor to me, he appointed by him and appointed by Garland, he said the man's incompetent. He can't stand trial, but he can run for president. But we no longer have to worry about that because we have somebody that, in my opinion, is more incompetent. She couldn't pass her bar exam and lots of other things, and she should not be in a position, because if she becomes president, our country is going to be a giant fail. It's going to fail.
We're going back to 2011, folks, okay? We're taking you back. It's time. America is about to be an epic fail, XD. With him, it's going to be an epic win.
It's going to be a failure the likes of which this world has never seen. Yeah, please. No, how about you?
Wonderful, thank you. A big part of your strategy before Harris became the nominee was going after and increasing the share of...
Speak up.
You have to speak louder.
Okay, great. A big part of the strategy for your campaign before Harris became the nominee was appealing to black voters.
Yeah.
That you were really going after. In polls, we really see Harris gaining ground with that group. And I'm wondering how you are going to go after black voters now that she's the nominee and really winning them over.
Well, it changes around a little bit. I'm getting other voters. Perhaps, I was doing very well with black voters, and I still am. I seem to be doing very well with black males. This is according to polls, as you know. It's possible that I won't do as well with black women, but I do seem to be doing very well with other segments, extremely well with Hispanic. Jewish voters way up. White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up. Now, I don't know. All we're doing is giving you the stats that you have. It could be that I'll be affected somewhat with black females, where we're doing pretty well. And I think ultimately
Sure, they're doing phenomenally with black women right now, I have to say. I think it's considered kind of poor form as a political candidate to talk about the individual demographics like this. This is something usually that like journalists and pundits are supposed to go on about, but like when you're running for president, you're like, black men love me. Why black women not so much, Hispanics, the Jews, I just it's a little bit crass, I feel. But it's also very funny. So there's also that.
Better because I'm going to give them security, safety, and jobs. I'm going to give them a good economy. We have a very bad economy right now. We could literally be on the throes of a depression, not recession, a depression. And they can't have that. They can't have that. So I think I'm going to do well with everybody, especially when the...
Oh, thank you. This is actually very helpful. Election polling numbers broken down by demographic. Harris's numbers are going up, up, up. Let's see this right here. Bazinga. Harris's biggest boost coming with black voters. She has gone from a 23-point lead with black voters over Trump a couple weeks ago to a 54-point lead now. That's good. Moving closer to territory where Democrats need to be with black voters. It's only been like 2 weeks. So a lot of this consolidates with time, you know? Also winning independents, something that Biden was not doing. Harris is up 9 points with independents. God damn. Whereas Trump was beating Biden by 4 points with the group. Harris has improved with white voters overall, gone from 40% with white voters overall to 46% in this survey. And that's very high for a Democrat. Biden got 41% of white voters in 2020. Obama got 43% in 2008. Oh, geez. Doing really good with white voters, huh? All right. The improvement is mostly because of college-educated white women. White women. 2/3 of college-educated white women, though, are now in Harris's camp. She's not where she needs to be with voters under 45 at this point. Biden won them by 14 points. Harris and Trump are tied right now with this group. That can be explained by large to a large extent, partly with Gaza and partly because young people are far more likely to be uncommitted up until the last moment. I wouldn't hold this to... There's a big difference between like favorability, who you're going to vote for, that kind of thing, you know? We'll see.
Facts right. Yeah, please, in the back.
You're now leading the Jewish voters in your home state of New York. With that being said, what do you make of Kamala Harris not picking Josh Shapiro as her VP?
Well, I don't know. I know Josh Shapiro. He's a terrible guy, and he's not very popular with anybody. I think that this
hugely popular in Pennsylvania. Please keep at it, Mr. Trump.
election maybe is better than Josh Shapiro would have been. But I think other than Josh Shapiro, I think she had some good choices. But Josh Shapiro is not one of them. He's caused a lot of damage with a lot of people. And I don't think he would have been better. I think he would have been maybe the equivalent, maybe not as good. But they had some people that they were looking at that were good, far superior to her. They actually had a story where they had everybody, including, they had like 10 people that she was looking at, and her.
Hey, some actual good news. They actually did update 270 to win. And unless I'm mistaken, Georgia is now a toss-up. It used to be light red. Now it's a toss-up. The line shifts. I like that pink Texas. Yeah, it's not deep red. It is possible that we live to see Blexus in Florida. We'll see. We could get North Carolina. And Alaska's lighter. Oh, who cares about Alaska? Texas can be blue. It's possible. I don't know, Irizor. I don't know. There are literally no Texas polls between Harris and Trump. It's also not been very long. Look at North Carolina, too pink. Now, wasn't North Carolina this pink before? Or was North Carolina this pink? Has North Carolina shifted 1 point over? Or one color over? I think it was still this light pink. It's trending towards Harris. Yeah, it's getting closer. North Carolina was toss-up 2 weeks ago, Vosh. Then, like Georgia, it went light pink. Well, that's because things went badly for Biden after the debate. But that was still, those polling results were still from when Biden was the presumptive Democratic nominee. Now we have Kamala Harris, and we're going to see if we can push back against those. I think we're gonna get dark blue there, and dark blue there, and we're gonna get dark blue there, and yeah, there we go. All right, we got it.
And they said she was the worst of all. In other words, she was the worst out of the 10 people and her.
Mr. President, Harris only agrees to the ABC debate. Would you be willing just to do that one debate?
I don't know how that's going to work out. We'd like to do 3 debates. We think we should do 3 debates. We think Fox and ABC. And we also have CBS is going to do the vice presidential debate. So CBS will do vice presidential. And I have to tell you, J.D. Vance has really stepped up. He's doing a fantastic job.
Oh, sorry. Just a reminder that on the other side of the political aisle, proud to be Kamala Harris's running mate and unofficial campaign photographer. Doing a little T-Rex pose here. South Carolina just went blue, folks. The fact, they're really getting at, Dye Workwear put out a thread on this, but Tim Walz is wearing workwear all up and about the place, you know? I hate the dress sneakers, but apart from that, these are utility pants, and he wears like chambray shirts, I think. I mean, he's leaning into it is what I mean. It looks good.
Say it.
Are you worried at all about the size of Harris's crowds?
Oh, give me a break. Listen, I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. I'm so glad you asked. What did she have yesterday? 2,000 people? If I ever had 2,000 people, you'd say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. And here's a great example.
No, that stung him. Oh, yeah, no, he has always lied massively about the number of people who attend his rallies, which I saw this clip on Twitter, so we're going to get it.
I had in Michigan recently, 25,000 people, and 25,000 people we just couldn't get them in. We had in Harrisburg 25,000 people, and 20,000 people couldn't get in. We had so many. Nobody ever mentions that.
No, he didn't. Again, if you ever see any pictures or video footage of the rallies that he holds, we're talking about a lot of them are in the hundreds. Even the larger ones that he holds inside, he never fills up the stadium. There are always empty seats.
When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, where they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size.
30 times?
They never say the crowd was big. That's why I'm always saying turn around the cameras. I'm so glad you asked that. I think it's so terrible when you say, well, she has 1,500 people, 1,000 people, and they talk about, oh, the enthusiasm. Let me tell you, we have the enthusiasm. The Republican Party, and me as a candidate, but the Republican Party has the enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm remembering this particular news story where Donald Trump claimed that this rally had 60,000 people in it. This one. In Dayton, Ohio. He claimed this was 60,000 people. Not even half. Not even a tenth. This is at most 2,000. Maybe 3, maybe some people pouring out a little bit here, but looks like it peters out right around here. So no, 2 or 3. He loves doing that shit. Hold on. He did this at South Carolina too. I'm trying to find a big photo of it. I can't. Damn it. He loves doing this shit, man.
Because people want to see crime stopped. They want to see a country that's respected. Think of it. If I were president, you wouldn't have Russia and Ukraine, where it never happened. 0 chance. You wouldn't have had October 7th of Israel. You wouldn't have the horrible withdrawal. And I don't mean the withdrawal, because the withdrawal was fine. I was ready to withdraw from Afghanistan, and we were going to do it with dignity. And
except he delayed the date of withdrawal to after his administration. You know, classic bit. I was ready to, but I delayed it for years so that someone else could handle it. Don't get it. If he had won in 2020, he would have delayed it further. 100% he would have. He would have delayed it further.
Strength. And we were keeping our equipment. We weren't leaving $85 billion worth of equipment behind. And we wouldn't have had 13 great soldiers. I know the families of those soldiers well. We wouldn't have had these soldiers killed. And we wouldn't have had 45 soldiers obliterated. No legs, no arms, the face. None of that would have happened. And you wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had any inflation, because inflation was caused by their bad energy problems. Now they've gone back to the Trump thing because they need the votes. I don't know if you know, they're drilling now because they had to go back because gasoline was going up to $7, $8, $9 a barrel.
20,
so
50?
They said, we better do what
a
Trump.
barrel?
But the day after the election, if they won.
Oh, hold on now. $7, $8, $9 a barrel. That's, a little deflationary, I'd say.
You're going to have fuel prices go through the roof. Everybody's going to be forced to buy an electric car, which they're not going to do because they don't want that. It's got a great market. It's got a market. It's really a sub-market. People want gasoline-propelled cars. They want hybrids. They want to have everything, and they want electric. But they want everybody to have an electric car. We don't have enough electricity. We couldn't make enough electricity for that.
I was wrong. He's too funny. He does deserve to be president again, I think. You know? I'd say so.
And you know what else? the weight of a car, the weight of a truck. They want all trucks to be electric. Little things that a lot of people don't talk about. The weight of a truck is 2.5 times heavier. You would have to rebuild every bridge in this country if you were going to do this ridiculous policy.
Donald Trump sounds the way you guys sound when you've gone on a binge of YouTube video essays on technical topics and you arrive at the conversation with a lot of confidence and a very poor understanding of what you just watched. You know? Like, literally, like, it's like the Joe Rogan thing where the last time he got any info on the topic, he's like, oh, yeah, that, you know?
So, but on crowd size, in history, for any country, nobody's had crowds like I have, and you know that. And when she gets 1,000 people and everybody starts jumping, you know that if I had 1,000 people would say, that's the end of his campaign. I have hundreds of thousands of people.
I'm pretty sure he literally wasn't 1,000 around the people who attended the rally where he got shot at. Why am I blank? What was the city that he got shot at again? What was the city? Help me. Butler? Thank you. It's hard to get any photos that aren't these god-awful, like, fisheye view. It's not that many people. Here, I can get a better photo than this. Hold on. The fisheye lens thing gives the effect of there being more people than there actually are, because it forces depth at the corners of the image. Here, like, look at the difference between this, right? And it's like, oh, wow, that's a lot of people. You know, that's a significant number of people. And then this, which is a totally different venue because Google sucks, but you can tell it's like, oh, wait, hold on. Where's the damn... missing the point here. It's not a lot of people. Yeah, the wide field of view thing. Here? Listen? Yeah.
South Carolina had 88,000 people.
No.
In Alabama, I had 68,000 people. Nobody says about crowd size with me. But she has 1,000 people or 1,500 people, and they say, oh, the enthusiasm.
Again, like he's off by like a multiple of 20 or 30 on these.
No. The enthusiasm is with me and the Republican Party because they want to stop crime. They want to stop people from pouring into our country from places unknown and from countries unknown, from countries that nobody ever heard of.
Countries unknown.
That's where the
Mars
enthusiasm.
countries.
Two questions, if I can. Thank you, sir. Your campaign is targeting Pennsylvania and Georgia.
Yeah.
If you get those two, you could seal the deal. That's what they say. How important
Yeah.
is it to you, and is it salvageable for you to be able to repair the relationship with Governor Kemp?
I don't know if I can or not. I got him elected. Without me, he wouldn't be governor. I got him elected. He was doing terribly. I got him elected. With that being said, I hope we can repair it, but if we don't, the people are still the people, and they're going to vote. We're leading in Georgia by a lot. We're leading in Pennsylvania by a lot. So, but I don't know. Now, in Pennsylvania, I have great relationships. In Georgia, I do too, but unfortunately not with the governor. I've never understood it. When you get somebody elected, they're supposed to like you. He's not exactly...
He doesn't like the governor of Georgia. I strongly encourage him to keep beefing with the governor of Georgia. Please, God, I'm encouraging you to continue posting this shit. Please, get in loud arguments with the governor of Georgia. Get shit talk the very popular Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania. I'm begging you, please, in these key states. As your campaign manager...
for some reason, and you'll have to ask him about that. Yeah, I'd love to see it get repaired. I think that if we don't win Georgia, Georgia is a big win, is a big state. So I won Alabama by a record. Nobody's ever gotten that many votes. I won South Carolina by a record. You don't win Alabama and South Carolina by records and lose Georgia. It doesn't happen.
You do, actually, because Alabama and South Carolina don't have Atlanta.
And the people of Georgia understand that. There was tremendous anxiety and problems in Georgia. A lot of people say, what happened? And we have to, all we want is honest elections. If we have honest elections in Georgia, we have honest elections in Pennsylvania.
Remember, he has called out by name and praised the Georgia state electors, 3 of whom on a board of 5 are introducing new rules that are intended to allow them to dispute electoral results based on the vibe, based on whether or not they think they appear credible. He's like in Georgia right now, their plan is not to win by votes. It is to have indefinite contentions by 3 out of the 5 officials on the elector board. Is that not illegal? I mean, they just made it the law. That they just passed the policy.
We're going to win them by a lot.
Actually, I think you could make a fair dispute on constitutional grounds there. I'm not entirely sure. You'd have to read an article from a lawyer.
Well, he actually said it two ways. First, he said it incorrectly, then he corrected himself. Do you agree with that, right? You know, if you watch him, he said it two ways. No. I mean, he said it two ways because he doesn't really know what he's saying. Why didn't he bring it up at the debate? You know, he had a chance for 90 minutes to bring it up at the debate.
That's not a law. That's a rule they've introduced. Yeah, but the law gives states a lot of power in deciding how their own elections are managed. It would depend on whether or not there was a legal pretext for a state to have the ability to use the perspective of a state elector official as pretext for re-examining the votes, which could or could not be an interference with the unalienable right for Americans to vote, which already is very alienable in a lot of contexts because we have a shitty country. So yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not a lawyer.
He could have talked about that at the debate, and he didn't do it. Everyone said, oh, he said this and he said that. He's just, you know, they give him something to read off. He read it very badly because he actually said it the opposite. Then he had to go back and correct himself. He said the opposite. He should have brought this up at the debate. If he had a problem, of course there'll be a peaceful transfer. And there was last time, and there'll be a peaceful transfer. I just hope we're going to have honest elections. That's all, okay?
There was not a peaceful transfer. There's actually a coup attempt on the Capitol. Not many people know about this incident. January 6th, but that did happen and it wasn't peaceful. A person died. Not a very good person, though, and she kind of earned it, you know, by trying to break into the Capitol building. She's in hell now, but a person did die. Wasn't peaceful. Also, the Trump campaign didn't supply any information to the Biden team, or sorry, the Trump team didn't supply any info to the Biden team as he came in on, you know, January 20th, 2020. Like, for the first time in, I think, American history, the Biden team came in blind. They weren't, like, coached on or given all the information. They had to kind of piece it together after they came in.
We have not had a public campaign event for nearly a week now, tomorrow in Montana, which is not a swing state. Some of your allies have expressed concern that you're not taking this race seriously, particularly...
What a stupid question this is.
...enthusiasm on the other side. Why haven't you been campaigning?
Because I'm leading by a lot and because I'm letting their convention go through. And I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in certain cases, I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones, I'm speaking to radio, I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference. And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country because our country's never been in this danger before, both economically and from an outside perspective. Russia doesn't respect us anymore. China doesn't respect us anymore. North Korea, Kim Jong-un, liked me a lot. He doesn't like this group. We are in great danger. We're in great danger of being in World War III. That could happen. No, after their convention, yeah. And I'm going out, actually, I'm going out to certain places to help certain senators get elected. Not even for me. I'm trying to help when I go out to Wyoming or when I go out to Montana, or I'm going to different places to help people. And I don't have to go there because I'm leading those states, as you know, by 35, 40, 50 points. I'm leading by record numbers.
Welcome back, Assad.
I'm going because I want to help senators and congressmen get elected. Congressmen and women get elected. Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, can you tell us a bit more about your upcoming interview with Elon Musk?
The upcoming what?
Interview with Elon Musk on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
There's reports now saying that the Chinese Communist Party is trying to use American social media platforms to spread its propaganda. What do you think the social media companies...
Yeah, the Elon Musk. So, yeah, sure. So Elon called me. As you know, he endorsed me full-throated. Great endorsement. I respect Elon a lot. He respects me. And not easy for him to endorse, to be honest with you. You know, it takes courage to endorse.
I can't wait for their interview on Monday because I have to assume it's going to go really badly. The energy is going to be terrible. They don't like each other. Elon, as we know, is a whimpering little cuckboy who will do anything for attention and approval. Trump actually has a spine and can revel in the booze at times, you know? But Trump doesn't like Elon because he's a whimpering bitch boy, you know? So I think, I don't know. Oh, man.
Many people have courage and many people don't. He does have courage. And Elon endorsed me, and he asked me whether or not I'd do a show on Monday, and I think it's going to be Monday night. And I believe he's the host of the show.
Not to mention Elon backed out of the promised 180 million. Not to mention they've beefed before. Not to mention. Like, can you imagine them interacting with each other in a room, man? Like, I don't know. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
So it'll be very interesting. A lot of people are talking about it. I look forward to it. That'll be done on Monday night.
And just a quick question, what do you think social media companies in America should do to combat potentially misinformation spread by the Chinese people?
Well, you have a lot of misinformation spread about China, and you have a lot of misinformation spread about a lot of different places. I think I'm going to get along great with China. President Xi of China and I were very good friends. We met right here, right in that, except we had a beautiful sofa there, as opposed to what we have right now. Right now we have you. But President Xi and I had a very good relationship until COVID. And I held him responsible for COVID. It broke up our relationship. But I think we're going to have a great relationship. And I think it's going to be mutually beneficial. But we cannot have it where China is taking advantage of the United
He's such
States.
a queen.
And that's what they were doing,
He's
as
so...
you very well know. Yes, please.
Mr. President, you just said that there was a peaceful transfer of power last time when you left office. You didn't concede January 6th was a violent attack. How is that a peaceful transfer of power?
What's your question?
My question is, you think that last time there was a peaceful transfer of power when you left office?
No, I think the people that, if you look at January 6th, which a lot of people aren't talking about very much, I think those people were treated very harshly. When you compare them to other things that took place in this country where a lot of people were killed, nobody was killed on January 6th. But I think
I've seen some people on the right mad about this because them whining about Ashley Babbitt getting got. They've been doing that for years, you know? It's crazy. This is easily worse than when Joe Biden clearly misspoke and he said no one died in Afghanistan on my watch, which I mean, I assume what he meant by that is like in direct combat engagements, not during the pullout or whatever. At least 5 people died. Yeah. There was that guy who tased himself in the balls and then died, right? J6, taser, balls, heart attack. Fact check. Alabama man at Capitol riot died from a heart attack. And what did he do before the heart attack? Suffered a heart attack after leaving a taser in his pants, accidentally triggering it when he was attempting to steal a portrait in the Capitol. He repeatedly tased himself in the scrotum until he suffered a fatal heart attack. I'm sorry. But did not tase himself. In the midst of the excitement, suffered a heart attack. She added her husband was a Trump advocate. He was excited to attend the event, but he was not there to participate in violence or rioting. So why should we take her word for it? He wasn't there to participate in violence or rioting, and yet he was a January... I mean, I think he tased himself in the balls and died of a heart attack.
I think that the people of January 6th were treated very unfairly, and they were there to complain, not through me, they were there to complain about an election. And, you know, it's very interesting. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I said peacefully and patriotically, which nobody wants to say, but I said peacefully and patriotically. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to, and you've seen, Maggie, I was at the mall, I was at the Washington Monument, I was at the whole thing. I had crowds, I don't know who's ever had a bigger crowd than I have, but I had it many times. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken before was that day. And I'll tell you, it's very hard to find a picture of that crowd. You see the picture of a small number of people relatively going to the Capitol, but you never see the picture of the...
Can you imagine it? Like, it's like being in Germany and he's bragging about how many people were at the beer hall putsch. Like, he's not just bragging about the rally size of his speeches. Now he's bragging about it at J6.
Crowd, the biggest crowd I've ever spoken. I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, Same number of people, if not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington, and you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd.
As your campaign manager, I am encouraging you to continue posting this shit. Please, God.
We actually had more people. They said I had 25,000, and he had 1 million people.
Please,
and
please,
I'm okay with
please.
it because I liked
Please keep
Dr.
it up.
Martin Luther
Black
King.
voters
Yeah,
love this shit,
please.
man. Please, God.
That it was unconstitutional for the Democrats to replace President Biden with Vice President Harris as their candidate. Can you explain your constitutional analysis? Which part of the Constitution?
Yeah, sure. We have a Constitution. It's a very important document, and we live by it.
I'm always, hold on, just sort of like for the historical record, because I really don't feel like I need to explain how funny it is that he's comparing his January 6th crowd size to MLK's I Have a Dream speech. But these are from Reuters. This is Trump's inauguration in 2017. This was Barack Obama's in, I think, 2009. That's a classic one. That's a classic distinction right there. And I Have a Dream crowd size. It's true that there aren't actually, to my knowledge, that many photos of the total crowd at Donald Trump's speech before J6, like before he led everyone to the Capitol. But it's not that many people. It's really just not. For the I Have a Dream speech, they got a lot of folks out there. You know? I don't even know. I mean, it's difficult to even find photos that capture it all. Those idiots hadn't even invented drones back then, if you can believe it. But they filled up the Capitol Mall. I mean, they filled it up. Donald Trump couldn't even fill up his inauguration. So you can take from that what you will. But he has never gotten over this. Genuinely, it was this along with, instigatory comments made by Obama after Donald Trump led the birther movement during his presidential term. This is the stuff that always gets under his skin. He never gets over it. He's never gotten over it. This is why I say that it's so important to make fun of him, to make fun of fascists generally, because he cannot handle the idea that a black man could bring out more people to attend a rally than him. That's the reason why he's obsessed with Obama. That's the reason why he brought up Martin Luther King Jr., completely obsessed with it.
He has no votes, and I'm very happy to run against her. I'm not complaining from that standpoint.
I've read Republicans claiming that was a pick from earlier in the day, that it's bad faith. Is this true, not American here? No. It's not true. They're just coping.
And I hate to be defending him, but he did not want to leave. He wanted to see if he could win. They said, you're not going to win after the debate. They said, you're not going to win. You can't win. You're out. And at first they said it nicely, and he wasn't leaving. And then you know it better than anybody. Wait a minute. So when you think about it, they said at first they were going to go out to another vote. They were going to go through a primary system, a quick primary system, which it would have to be. And then it all disappeared, and they just picked a person that was the first out. She was the first loser. Okay, so we call her the first loser. She was the first loser when. During the primary system, during the Democrat primary system, she was the first one to quit, and she quit. She had no votes, no support, and she was a bad debater, by the way, very bad debater. And that's not the thing I'm looking forward to, but she was a bad debater. She did obviously a bad job. She never...
Oh, yeah. The term alternative facts was literally coined by Kellyanne Conway to defend the Trump team's statements about his inauguration rally size. That's literally the origin for it. A phrase used by U.S. Counselor to the President Kellyanne Conway during a Meet the Press interview on January 22nd, 2017, in which she defended White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer's false statement about the attendance numbers of Donald Trump's inauguration as President of the United States. When pressed during the interview with Chuck Todd to explain why Spicer would utter a provable falsehood, Conway stated that Spicer was giving, quote, alternative facts. Todd responded, look, alternative facts are not facts, they're falsehoods. And that went on to partially define the entire... The entire Trump presidency. It was literally, alternative facts was coined on day 2 of the administration.
Made it to Iowa. Then for some reason, and I know he regrets it, you do too, he picked her, and she turned on him too. She was working with the people that wanted him out. But the fact that you
Oh, sorry. There's a good photo of MLK's march. Woo! God damn. Okay, so I was looking, I saw a good photo. A lot of people like this MLK guy, apparently. I'm just hearing about this.
you can get no votes, lose in the primary system. In other words, you had 14 or 15 people. She was the first one out. And that you can then be picked to run for president, it seems to me actually unconstitutional. Perhaps it's not. Please. So I've run against Hillary, and I've run against various other people. I would say that in terms of intelligence, Hillary was far superior. I would say that. Hillary was smart. She was her own worst enemy in many ways, but she was smart, very smart. Okay? If you asked me to compare them. Please.
You staked out a position on abortion that was probably more popular with general election voters than many of the Republican primary candidates did, even in states. Given that that's your position, how do you plan to vote in Florida's abortion ballot referendum stuff?
Would you repeat that question, please?
Oh, Iman Khalif won in women's boxing. I got copyright claimed for 2 seconds of Olympic footage playing the last time I showed her. Congratulations. Woke Algeria wins again.
Do you have to speak up?
Yes, sir. I said
It's a hard room because it's very big, if you know. So this is worth $18 million. Oh, I see.
you staked out a position on abortion that was probably more popular with general election voters than many of your Republican rivals in the primary. You said leave it to the states. Given that Florida is a state voting on it,
He's iconic.
how do you plan to vote? Do you plan
So I think the abortion issue has been very much tempered down, and I've answered, I think, very well in the debate, and it seems to be much less of an issue, especially for those where they have the exceptions, as you know. And
Please
I
keep
think
posting the shit.
when I look for 52 years, they wanted to bring abortion back to the states. They wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade, and that's Democrats, Republicans, and independents. And
That's so true, man. Democrats wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade. That's so true. Me, when I preside over maybe one of the most politically disastrous, with me when the consequences are looming in the re-election. I lost in 2020. Now Roe v. Wade's been overturned. We got it going for 2024. I think the reason he's saying it's not a big deal is because he's repeating what his campaign team is reassuring him of. His campaign team has been telling him, yeah, don't worry about the abortion stuff. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know, don't talk about it. Play moderate. You know, you're not associated with Project 2025. Don't worry about it. And he's just repeating that. Please continue.
Everybody, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back in the states, and I did that. Now the states are voting. And frankly, some of the votes are much more, if you could say, liberal than you would think. Ohio turned out to be, they had a big vote, and it turned out to be a much more liberal standing than people would have thought. Kansas, the same thing. And then you have Texas, and you have other places where it may be different. But the issue has been brought back to the states now. And like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly. I think that that's a very important thing. I think when you have to follow your heart. But when you don't believe in the exceptions, I think it's much tougher. It's a much tougher issue. But about 82% of Republicans do believe in exceptions. I think and a lot of them are changing their mind and coming even further. I think that abortion has become much less of an issue. It's a very small, I think it's actually going to be a very small issue. What I've done.
Abortion is the #1 issue on which voters lean left. Like when you ask voters, even Republican voters, which of the two sides do you think is better on abortion? They know who to answer on. Like even like it's the furthest slant of any major issue that they get asked on. This is incredibly funny.
I've done what every Democrat and every Republican wanted to have done, and we brought that issue back to the states. And now the states are voting on it. And frankly, some of the votes are a lot different than people would have thought. But it's the vote of the people is taking care of it. And, you know, when you think about the radical, the Democrats are really the radical ones on this because they're allowed to do abortion on the 8th and 9th month and even after birth. If you look at your new
That's very real. Yeah.
governor from Minnesota, he's talking about, he's like the governor previous, the former governor. I don't want to get him mixed up because Glenn is doing a good job and he's leading our whole campaign in Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. But previous to Glenn, the governor, he said the baby will be born, we will put the baby aside, and we will decide with the mother what we're going to do. In other words, whether or not we're going to kill the baby. The Minnesota gentleman,
82%. Where do the numbers come? I don't have to like debunk this, do I? My God.
this guy agrees with that. He is the most liberal. Look, between her and him, there's never been anything like this. There's never been a combination. So I'll use the word progressive. You know, they want to go progressive. They don't like the word liberal. I like liberal better. I think it's more appropriate because nobody knows what progressive means. But they now like to use the word progressive. But there's certainly never been anybody so liberal like these two, or even close. I think the abortion issue has been taken down many notches. I don't think it's a big factor anymore, really. And when people hear what I said in the debate, and I think I said it very well during the debate, we brought it back to the states. Everybody wanted it in the states. And very importantly, and you think about this.
You might note, by the way, that Trump is doing something here that I've previously criticized Joe Biden for, which is rather than making the case for why what he's doing is good, he's just telling people that they do like what he did. Remember? I specifically criticized Joe Biden for doing this, and now Donald Trump is doing it on the abortion issue. He's not saying, you know, we're going to rally together and do X, we're going to do Y, we did this, we're doing this. It's not enthusiastic or informative. It's just like, yeah, actually everyone likes what we did, which doesn't work. No, that's not an effective campaign strategy at all. But he also can't take the aggressive affirmative position on this because in reality, people don't like Roe v. Wade being overturned. So he's in this awkward position of he's acknowledging it, but he can't really take credit for the thing that people don't like. He just has to pretend that they did like it.
Assuming you have exceptions. If you don't have exceptions, it's a more difficult thing. At the same time, there are people that strongly feel that way, and you have to follow your heart, and you should follow your heart. But that issue is very much subdued. Yeah, thank you.
I want to ask you about the assassination attempt.
About who?
About the assassination attempt.
Yes.
Did the fact that somebody used an AR-15 gun at all change your impression of people's access to that weapon?
No, I didn't. Look. If you take away guns, she wants to take away everyone's gun. If you take away guns, you can't do it because people need the guns for protection. Now, entertainment, they want it, hunting, they want, different things. But they need weapons for protection in this country. Mm-hmm. People live out in the woods and they're not going to have a gun.
Bears?
If you look at some countries, I don't want to get them in trouble, but some countries have actually gone the opposite way. They had very strong gun laws, and now they have gone the opposite way, where they allowed people to have guns, where in one case they encouraged people to go out and get guns, and crime is down 29%. And remember this, what is the toughest gun law in the United States? Chicago.
That's a city,
on
not
July
a law.
4th,
That's
117 people were shot and 17 died. The toughest gun laws in the United States are in the city of Chicago. You know that. They had 117 people.
Well, the mass shooting with the most casualties in American history was in Las Vegas. Nevada does not have very strong gun laws.
People shot. Afghanistan does not have that. Afghanistan, by the way, was the lowest point in the history of our country, in my opinion. That was the worst embarrassment to the history of this country, and I say Putin would not have gone into Ukraine if that didn't happen. When he saw the incompetence of Milley and all these guys that are incompetent, when he saw that happen, when they took out the soldiers first, they took out the soldiers first. You know, if you go back and check your records, for 18 months, I had a talk with Abdul. Abdul was the leader of the Taliban, still is. But I had a strong talk with him. For 18 months, not one American soldier was shot at or killed, but not even shot at. 18 months, and then we had the disaster of the lift.
Okay, hold on. I feel like now that we're back in the talking points, we've arrived at him just saying provably objectively false things. You know what I mean? I didn't realize that I was this late in the stream. It's 2:40. I think the essential energy of the press conference has been captured in this moment. You know, I have a feeling that wasn't true. It wasn't true. Tweet from Trump's former White House communications director and press secretary saying the press conference was probably his idea. Read Trump's self-announced press conference today at 2 p.m. He's panicking. I've seen this play many times. I mean, this is my call. He thinks his team is failing him and no one can speak better / save his campaign / defend him but him. He hates the coverage Harris is getting and thinks only he can fix it. I will say, this is, if that was the intention, this has backfired remarkably, because the only attention that I have seen this getting is negative. Comparing the January 6th insurrection crowd to Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech crowd is a wild move that exceeds, I think, even the average Democrat's expectations for this man's mind. Truly incredible stuff. So I've only seen negative attention, really. Harris campaign with a lengthy response to Trump's, quote, very good, very normal press conference. Oh, are they just going with like a matter-of-fact point-by-point debunk sheet? That's actually pretty good. I like that. It's a lot more aggressive and confrontational. Oh, yeah, the drill tweet at the beginning. I saw that. Drill tweet. And another thing, I'm not mad. Please don't put in the newspaper that I got mad. Very sassy with the response, which is good. Drill himself quoted this. Yeah, he did not like being included. But unfortunately, that's what mimetic shitposting is. You know, sometimes you get carried over the horizon a little bit farther than you expect to be carried. You know, that's how it is. Good tone in the response. I like that. Yeah, if this really is indicative of Donald Trump desperately trying to sort of like clamor for control over the narrative, it didn't work in his favor. It was pretty bad. I mean, yeah, it was pretty bad. Bad and sad. Bad and sad. Folks, if you've enjoyed the stream, you're welcome. Subscribe.